Hello and welcome to our LXD Learning Experience Design Kickoff Webinar. My name is Andrew Linford and I'm really excited to be here with you today. We're going to be doing an overview of all the different things associated with the NovoEd course and really get you engaged with and ready to expect whatever you need to expect moving forward. So I'm really excited to be here today. It is not actually just me. I'm also joined here by Sanjana, who you may have seen in the discussions.
Hi, everybody. Nice to see you today. We're really excited to kick off this webinar with you.
So without much further ado, just as a quick overview of what we'll be covering today, we're going to be doing a little bit of an overview of what the course is and being a little bit meta about this, in fact. We're going to take a look at how we produce this course, about how to make a course. So be ready for a little bit of meta-ness. Then we're going to go into some common questions that you have, and then we'll take, of course, any questions you have. So why don't we actually get these slides a little bit underway, and we'll get started. Perfect. So once again, welcome. And I'm really excited to have this whole course ready and all set to go. So let's jump in first to the introduction. The first thing to note is, although I'll be the main one presenting, Sanjana is here behind the scenes, right next to me, in fact, but behind the scenes answering any and all of your questions. So if you have any questions, make sure you go to the YouTube chat box. If you are viewing this on the NovoEd, in the NovoEd environment and you want to ask a question, you need to actually click out of the NovoEd environment. You can click the little YouTube link. Go to the YouTube page itself, where you'll see there's a big chat box that already has lots of people introducing themselves. I encourage you to introduce yourselves, engage, and ask plenty of questions. We won't be answering any questions at this particular moment or during the introduction portion of this webinar, but at the end, we will have a Q&A Q&A session. So any questions you may have, you can pose, and we'll do our best to answer them as quickly as we can. So let's actually jump into the course overview. This is the part I said was going to be a little bit meta. So in the process of talking about what to expect in the course, I'm also going to explain a little bit of how we produced this course. So how do you start thinking about any course or online learning experience? Well, you start with the learning objective. The learning objective for this particular course is to make sure that you all learn how to create effective learning experiences. Now, for any good learning objective, you also need to have sort of an assessment or something that you're actually putting together. And for this course, what you're doing is you're going to be putting together a single learning module. So not a full course, which is sort of what it's about, but a single module within a course. You'll notice this if you already jumped into that first assignment. Now, in building a course, one of the things you need to do is then structure and organize all the different modules, the pieces of content that build up the course as a whole. But once you figure out what that order of modules are, the next thing is to do, once again, figure out what your module learning objective is. And once you have the learning objective, then similarly on the course level, you also figure out what the assessments are for each learning objective in each module. So let's actually take a look at this course and how it's laid out. So if you see this, you'll see we start with the learning objective. Then we go into sort of our module framework. We provide a framework to think about how to assess and take a look at different modules. We then, similarly, sort of you have the learning objective, then figuring out how to create the assessments. That's week 3. Once you have the learning objective, the assessments, the final thing is to figure out what the content is, how you're going to put together the content to enable the learners to do the assessment and to figure out the learning objective. And then the final thing is, no piece of work, especially in the learning space, is ever really done. You can always iterate, you can always improve it. And the last module really focuses on, okay, now you put all of this stuff together, you sort of have a big sense of how this works. How can you really go out there, ask people to take a look at it, and take it to the next level? Don't just leave it to where, oh, okay, I have a version of this, but see how you can improve it, see where there's improvement, and working on that. That's something we always do in this course itself. One of the things actually that I'm really excited about this course is this past month, we've been working on revamping a lot of different aspects of this course, and we're really hopeful that you'll notice some of the different potential improvements and different things we've been working on because of all the great feedback we've had from the previous versions of LXD. Okay, jumping back into what each module contains. Once again, a little bit meta. Jumping back into this, you have the learning objective, the assessment, the content, which we were talking about. What content can you actually expect in this course? In this course, you can expect some content that we've created ourselves. You'll notice Drew, myself, and even Lisa giving you some framing videos, short introductions to content, different role play videos. We've also put together some readings, some podcasts, which are optional, and different other ways to interact with each other. But that's not all. We've also gone out and curated a lot of different content from many different sources, giving you many different points of view. They're not all required readings. There's a lot of additional information in the in-depth exploration, which is completely optional, but there are some really interesting readings there as well if you are interested in that. So once again, this is how you build a whole course, but we're just focusing on a single module. So I give you this framework so you can understand the learning experience course, but in this course, it's just a single module we're focusing on. So that's the blue part, the learning objective, the objective assessment, and then assembling the content with a couple of other weeks. So the module analysis framework, and then also the feedback and iteration modules thrown in. So now that we have a little bit of a sense of what the overview of the course is, what are some common questions we tend to get about the course? A big question is often this extrinsic sort of goal of gaining a statement of accomplishment. How do you do this? One thing you may have noticed if you've been going through the course, maybe you noticed it when you added your introduction in the discussions, or when you sort of submitted that sort of initial reflection, you gain points for each activity you do in the course. And throughout the course, you need to gain at least 500 points in order to gain a statement of accomplishment. What you'll notice is on the homepage, you can always see whatever number of points you have and how close you are to that. In addition, you also need to complete the post-course survey. As I mentioned, we really value the feedback that you provide about the course, and we're always looking to make the course better. And one of the key ways we do this is getting your feedback through this post-course survey. So another requirement for the statement of accomplishment. You'll also see there's a bunch of point totals assigned to all the different types of activities. We generally try to assign an equivalent value of points for how worthwhile and valuable and sort of time-consuming each type of activity is. Not that it always does a perfect job. You realize maybe forming a team might take a little bit more effort than other things, but we try to balance that a little bit more. Another question, now that I've mentioned teams, what do you expect from teams? There's one question, why teams? Well, teams are really useful for really being able to engage with different members of the course. One thing you'll notice is this course has over 800, I believe, participants in it. And it's really hard to engage with people if it's that number of people. Teams allow you to engage with people in a much smaller, limited manner and actually get to know each other, learn a little bit more from each other, and sort of feel a little bit more personal. So what we have in this course is we have sort of one key team assignment and sort of one other sort of interactive assignment. The key team assignment is actually next week. This is the module framework analysis that you'll learn a little bit more about next week. But in this assignment, you will be working with your teams to analyze an example module together. What we recommend is, if you are not in a team already, to join a team so that way you're ready for the team assignment next week. If you are already in a team, we recommend that you find an hour to set aside with your team members to be able to work through this together. You can do this if you're not all sort of meeting at the same time, but we find that the value really comes out of everyone meeting at the same time. So if there's any way that you can set up an hour-long team meeting, we highly recommend it. Assignments 3, 4, you can obviously utilize your team as well. We see lots of effective uses of that. But then team 5, the feedback assignment, is where your team can get a little bit more involved again. And so the team, once you form, you'll have a lot of different opportunities to engage with them. As I've mentioned, some teams have already been forming. If you haven't joined already, please do join. If you are not interested in joining a team, that's actually okay. You can join what's called a team of one. So just form a team, say, I only want to do this myself, and you can do it by yourself. Now, it might allow you to do it a little bit more easily, but you miss out on some of the potential benefits of engaging with all the different other learners in the course. One final question that I want to bring up in this FAQ section is actually something that was posed as a question to the teaching team by Nithya. And she said she was glad to be part of the course, but she asked the question really, is learning design for only online types of education, or can it be applied to offline too? One of the things I hope you realize from sort of me setting this out is a lot of these tools are actually really effective in both situations. We're really focused on the core fundamentals, and in that situation, it doesn't matter whether it's online or offline. Now, that said, we do actually sort of focus a little bit more on the online component, mainly because it's an online course, so we're going to be focusing on that, and because people tend to have a lot more questions about how to effectively do online. So you'll notice something like the teams, the next webinar we have, which is in week 4, which will be about designing for teams, really focuses on how you do that in an online context. But all of the different things we talk about can be really effectively applied in in-person environments as well, and also mixed environments. So figuring out what you can do effectively online versus what you can do effectively offline, this should really help you guide any questions and thoughts you might have about that. So that's the quick overview of the course as a whole. Hopefully that gives you a little bit of a better sense of what to expect and what you're thinking about. My goal is that I'm going to now answer a few of your questions, so please feel free to post whatever questions you may have, and then I will sort of take a look with Sanjana and sort of help answer some of the different questions you have. So please fire away. I'm here to help you understand whatever you want to understand. And you can ask more basic questions about learning experience design more generally, even if it's not directly related to the course as well. So let's get started and get some of the questions rolling.
Hi, everyone. So we've actually got a few sort of frequently asked questions that have been sent in the past or via private message to me. One was about actually just like the technicalities. I should probably jump into the screen over here. Hi again. One was actually, Andrew, about the technicalities and the process of actually selecting your own team. And I thought this might be a great opportunity for those of you who are still struggling to join a team or struggling to form a team, for us to actually maybe walk you through what that process might look like. If anybody else has any questions, please feel free to continue sending them into the chat box. And as soon as we get through this one, while Andrew's doing that, I'll be answering the questions in the chat box and bringing them up over here to the webinar. So what I might actually do, if that's okay, Andrew, is go back to sharing my screen and we can actually go into the course.
Perfect. Yeah, let's jump into that.
All right, fantastic.
Perfect. Here we go.
One moment, please. All right, so here we are in LXD. Can everyone see the screen? Yep, I think so.
We're all good.
All right, fantastic. So what I thought I would do is take a moment to just make sure everybody has a clear understanding on how you might actually want to select someone. There are a number of options when it comes to joining or creating a team. And I think just because it's easier to start this way, we can start with how you might want to actually join a team or request to join a team. You can access the team directory just through those little dotted lines at the top of the toolbar over here. And here we are. It's actually really exciting for me to see just how many people have already started creating these teams.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. I've been really happy to see all the different people joining teams, lots of people getting engaged in discussions. If you're already on a team, one thing we recommend, just introduce yourself.
Yep, just introduce yourself. Say hello. Reach out to people. If people don't mind, what I might do is actually just pretend to want to join one of the teams that exists over here. So how about social sector learning? And actually the person who was asking originally about how to join a team was in this group.
Ooh,
here.
What a coincidence.
What a coincidence, exactly. As everyone can see, I selected the team over here and now I'm on the team profile. What's really exciting about this profile is that I get to learn a little bit about what they have in common. What are these people in this course to do? In this case, they're looking at social entrepreneurship, enterprise, and social sector leadership. I can see who's in the team. And if I want to learn a little bit more about all of the members in the team, I can even click on their profiles. And I can take a look and I can see, oh, all right, this person lives maybe in the same time zone as I live in. That might be a good reason for me to join the team with him. Or this person works, went to the same university as I did. Maybe that's a good reason for me to join.
Or you could just say, this person is literally on the webinar watching right now. That might be a good reason too.
That might just be a good reason as well. So now that I know a little bit about who's in the team, I can just request to join right now. Now, the reason I can request to join is because I'm not already a part of a team, and that can be a point of confusion for some people. So if you are already a member of a team, you can't request to join other ones, but what you can do if you choose to join another team is discreetly leave the team that you're in, or not so discreetly, depending on how well you get along with people. But you can choose to exit that team, and you can start browsing through the other ones and requesting to join just by selecting that quick button there. The team lead will receive a notification, and they will most likely approve you to join as well. Do we want to walk through what it might look like to create a team or invite people to join your team?
I think we can save that. I think there's a lot of different help. Most people will be joining teams, so there's lots of different help resources available. What I do want to answer actually is a question from Stephen, which is, what is the time commitment weekly? So this is actually a really good opportunity to point something out. So in general, if you have any questions about the course, what I recommend is to go to this first course overview slide. Lecture page, content page. This actually has a lot of different questions, answers to your questions. So something like statements of accomplishment. If you ever wonder exactly what that is, that's here. More relevant to this exact question, which is, what's the estimated time commitment to the course? You'll notice this nicely put together chart of the different estimated times for each different component of the course. And so you'll see it's generally a couple of hours a week. It might fluctuate a little bit. Say, for example, the last week, a little bit more because you have to actually get feedback and compile everything. Maybe the team is a little bit more of a challenge too, but hopefully if you already have your team meeting set up, it won't actually take the full 2.5 hours. So this is just an estimate. Another thing to note is if you are interested in sort of doing additional reading or anything of that nature, the in-depth exploration, this does not account for that as well.
Absolutely. So we actually have a question from Roxanne that came in while we were talking as well, and I'll just read it aloud for those of you who may not be able to view the window. Roxanne asks, what do you recommend if someone is struggling with writing or deciding upon their specific learning objective? Great question.
Yeah, so this is obviously what you're currently working on this week. The first thing is to identify whatever topic you're actually interested in. We've seen a wide variety of different topics across the years, everything from mindfulness to what are some interesting ones you remember, Sanjana?
Let's see, mindfulness. Oh, there was a great one about like 19th century literature and the workforce today, which I thought was just such a unique topic that I couldn't get over it. That was like 2 LXDs ago, I think.
Well, this was also one that personally appealed to you.
I mean, yeah, that was one that was definitely one that personally appealed to me. I have a degree in French literature, so that's probably why. But
so we've seen juggling.
Yeah.
So really anything you want. A lot of times people find it useful if they're focused on something they're already doing at work.
One really cool one that I saw, not to interrupt Andrew, but I get really enthusiastic about these ones, so I apologize if I'm wasting anyone's time. But one that like really blew my mind was somebody who did spent the entire 5 weeks developing a module on how to screw a light bulb in, like how to actually get a light bulb in, which was really fascinating. Who knew you could actually pull so much out of it and create such beautiful visuals from that experience? Sorry, Andrew, carry on.
Well, hopefully it finally answered the question, how many people does it take to screw in a light bulb? Yeah. But we'll get to that one later. So anyways, first, get to a topic. If you have something that you're working on at work, I think this is a great opportunity to really put it into practice, especially if the timeline isn't in a couple of weeks. Just trying it out is a good opportunity. If not, feel free to just pick a fun topic, something you're passionate about. Oftentimes, just passion ends up coming through, and you're more engaged and sort of intrinsically motivated to do the work itself if it's something that you just have your own interest in. Yeah. So once you've picked that topic, then you have to figure out, okay, if you're thinking about it a little bit of the course sense, if it's a big enough topic for more than one module, you'll need to be a little bit more defined about this. So this is something we go into a little bit in the role play videos, so where Drew and I talk about this. So you have to make sure you really want to make a focused sort of learning objective that you're going for. So some of the different things to think about is this something that could be taught in an hour or two, or is this something that's going to be taught over 5, 10 hours or something like that? So just keep that in mind of sort of, hey, make sure it's not too broad, not too big. The other thing to just be aware of is a lot of times what you'll notice is there'll be multiple learning objectives. We really want to try to practice focusing on just one single learning objective. So if you have multiple different ones, try separating those out and figure out which exact precise one you really want to work on, and that way you'll be able to delve into that. One thing to note, too, that I didn't specifically talk about, but is a question I realize we also get, maybe we should add to our FAQs, is do you do your module with your team? The answer is no. So each person individually does their own module, so you can pursue whatever topic you want to pursue. You're not bound by whatever the team is pursuing as a whole. However, the team is a good opportunity for you to share with each other. So you do not have to do the whole sort of module with your team, just whatever you're passionate about doing yourself. And with that, let's see, do we have one or two more questions?
Yeah, so Carmen de Jesus, or Jesus, I hope I'm saying that correctly, it has the following question. I'll just read it out loud. She says, I am working on an environmental education course. There are 8 topics or modules. If I'm working on one module or topic for the course, am I working on one module or topic for the course, or am I working on the entire DT module, or just one phase of DT? So what I would do is I would try to be as focused as possible, and try to aim for the 1 to 2 hour type of working conditions. So this is everything from the reading to the actual assignment, the activity. So try to figure out what is going to be maybe about an hour or 2 of that, and focus on that. Whether it's a specific topic, whether it's a module, whether it's any type of thing, I would recommend that general focus, and I think that would sort of accommodate the general right level of effort on your half, that you'll get the most that you can out of the course as well. Great question, great question. One more thing, I mean, this is really more of a comment that Jim Rosenberg posted. Jim is our friend, whose profile was showcased for this webinar.
Who seems to be quite featured in this webinar at the moment.
Yeah, exactly. But he wrote, and I'm just going to share this because I think it's useful, is from my team experience, I posted on the team discussion board my topic interest. I quickly heard from others with similar interests, and we went from there. I was impressed with how quickly that moved. I'm glad that it worked out nicely for you, Jim, and you bring up a good point, which is that you can actually post in the discussion forum that's available. I've seen a number of people have already, I should probably move into the video here, but I've seen a number of people who have already started doing that. That's fantastic. That's going to be the best way to find people who are not just interested in following through with the course, but are specifically interested in what you're doing and who you are. Learning together is always the best way to learn, I think.
Yeah, and I think this just sort of follows along. Whenever you can find something in common or an interest, that's always a great place to start, and hopefully your team is able to take off from there. I think that's about the end of our time. So what I want to just say is thank you for joining us. We will be giving one more webinar. So this one is not just me and Sanjana, but Drew will be joining as well. This will be in week 4, so keep your eyes out for that one. In the meantime, good luck figuring out your learning objective for this week and putting together your team working time for next week as well. We're very excited to see what you actually end up working on this course. We'll be taking a look. If you do happen to finish your week 1 assignment by the deadline, you will have the option of having a learning coach. So we really do recommend that you submit this one on time and take a look at that. That's one of our new things this time around. And it seems like we actually have one more question, which I'll answer.
No, actually, so thank you, Kojo Karu. Thank you for, you're not too late. Kojo Karu asks, says, I'm planning to create a course that can automate career coaching, or at least the discovery part of career coaching. Most of the content will focus on behavior and reflection change. Will the design approach of this course focus on knowledge or behavior? Interesting.
This is a great question.
Great question.
It's such a great question. I don't have an immediate response to it. I think the design of the course is really focused to get you thinking through in more detail about how you design a course. So it's not necessarily how you behave in designing a course, but it's trying to teach you some fundamentals. So if we think about the learning objective thing, this week, the learning objective content, we're really focused on giving you the tools you need to think about it. And it's not just one tool, it's many tools. The idea behind tools actually is, hey, you get to learn a little bit about this. You don't have to, at first, you think about it very concretely and with intention. Eventually, over time, you just begin to internalize these tools and you don't have to think about them. And so in that sense, it's a little bit of behavior. In the other sense, is a little bit of knowledge. But by practicing the knowledge, hopefully it becomes a little bit of a behavior. And we're hopeful that that happens throughout the course. Anyways, to conclude, I just want to say it's been really great to have you all here today. Feel free, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us in the course. You'll notice there was the Ask the Teaching Team discussion. You can ask there. Sometimes I'll respond, sometimes Sanjana will respond, sometimes Lucy will respond. But we're all here to really help you engage with the module you want to create, and we're really excited to see what you do. So until the next webinar, so long and see you in the course.
So long and see you in the course, guys.